Welcome back, social butterflies, to the Lucky Die. Previously, Balance embraces his two new personas as Zaltanna takes a spa day. With the group splitting themselves in two, the most charismatic members get themselves ready for an informal set of talks. Although high society was something that Balance was born into, it has been many years since he has had to flex those skills. Will Balance be able to pretend to be his brother? Does Zaltanna hide a secret social skill? And will Demi prove to be a helpful distraction, or just a distraction? I guess we're about to find out. Welcome back to the Lucky Die.
Balance in the Elven's room with Renala after Pintor has just left, about to go undertake their heist. You've been advised you might want to wait a minute or two just to let the other Pintor get out.
Okay. My hair has already been cleaned and everything.
Yes, Renala has already spent a significant amount of time essentially just cleaning all the dye out of your hair and braiding it in such a way that it looks like there's more length to it
than there actually is.
Yes, yeah. So she's done the thing with the braids where she pulls them out and it just looks thicker and fuller. And if people knew Pintor really, really well, they might be able to tell something's a bit odd, but yeah, you'll get away with it. Okay.
So Balance is going to be wearing, I guess, whatever fine clothes that would be appropriate for the Dathradir attire.
Yeah, you could probably pretty easily borrow your brother's clothing. You're pretty much a match.
I Balance would probably know about the whole weaponry thing that Demi and Zaltanna had their discussion about.
Yes.
So he's going to leave his bow and his short swords. But the +1 daggers, he's got 2 of those left. He's going to have each of them stuffed into the boots.
Okay.
Like by his ankle, so that if he needs to grab those, he can.
That's fair.
What else would he need?
Zaltanna. Kind of, you're aware that Team Sneak are doing their thing. And you see just Squash leaving the room after you know that the rest of Team Sneak were in the Witcher Society room, and you just see Squash like sneaking off, and you see like Demi walking to the door. You've probably already gotten changed into this evening's attire. Are you leaving your armor behind?
I mean, I'm probably wearing some sort of a fancy dress, I assume, right?
You can wear a fancy dress. Zaltanna could wear like a fancy trouser suit. You know, like you could basically look however you want to look.
I think she's gonna wear like a schmancy dress and braid. Like, I think we said her beard's grown out a little bit. I think she's gonna braid it real nice.
Yeah, like you probably like cleaned it up and like shaped it. Like it's beginning to grow well enough right now. It's looking super good. You and Demi spent a bit of time braiding each other's hair, and you guys look fucking pucker. All right. Yeah, and at that point, Demi turns to Zaltanna and is like, "Are you ready to go? Oh, you look gorgeous. You look so gorgeous."
I want to say that Zaltanna is wearing like a midnight blue, like one shoulder gown with a slit up one leg. Very classic sort of Bond girl look.
Damn. but she has like a hatchet, like axe in her like, boot. I think that's what you said she would have, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, yeah. So yeah, you look the beautiful Bond woman that you are with hatchet and boots. Demi's just got herself sorted out, and she looks more like an orc leader than she probably ever has before to you guys, and you would understand that this is like her posh attire because that's her station, it's her highest rank. And she says to Zaltanna, like, okay, are we ready to go get the other two now? Because you're going to be cool, right? We're going to be cool. It's going to be good.
I don't know what you mean by cool, but I could try.
Okay, I think we've got this. All right, let's go get them. And she grabs your wrist and she basically runs off towards where, because she never walks, she runs off to where like the elven high rooms are, and she like quickly raps on the door. Renala walks to the door, gestures them inside. So we were like ready to go then?
I think so. I hope so. Maybe.
You've got this. You know as much as Pintor knows, and I've got you. I've got you covered in case of anything else.
Just so I understand, from a public perspective, how does Pintor treat you and vice versa?
Probably as much as you would treat any favoured servant, but still a servant. So it's still my lord and girl or Renala go fetch, or, you know. Yeah, he knows how to act like a prince.
Understood.
He doesn't talk like we normally talk to each other when he's around posher people. So yeah. She kind of like looks a little bit awkward, but she kind of rolls her shoulders up and like gets the bearing of the appropriate serving girl, a good couple of paces behind Balance, who is posing as Pintor. All right, should we go then? We ready to go? Okay, it's
let's do this.
So Squash said we should panic at 4 hours, and I'm fully prepared to panic at 3.
Perhaps caution and concern at 3 and then panic at 4.
That is exactly what he said, but I am fully willing to panic at 3 if things are beginning to sound dicey, because we need to watch people like Gilles, because Gilles has been keeping a bit more of an eye on Squash than he was before. So we just really need to watch the serving stuff and see how things are going down there. And if things look odd, if we get a bad feeling, we should just go, because I know some things are real bad down there and it's not good. And I don't want them to have to face that too much alone if they get into real trouble.
Well, I think Renala will be of great assistance in that matter. If anybody's going to be able to follow and keep an eye on the servants, it would be another servant.
She gives him a broad smile. Like, I've been doing that all my life. I've got this. Okay, I guess she walks to the door. She opens. She's like, "My ladies, my lord." She kind of like bows deeply and lets you guys walk through.
Walk through the door. Nose slightly in the air.
She kind of like, as you walk a little bit, she's like, no, nose down a little bit, just a little bit. Just walk normally. Head down. That's it. Perfect. She's like, it's very, very quiet and only you can really hear it. But she's got that kind of like, no, just a bit slower. That's it. She's beginning to like coax you into like how Pintor walks and all of the things, and you pick it up real quick because it's very close to yourself acting the prince.
As we're walking along, Balance is going to use his telepathy and to communicate with Renala and say, "You're also going to need to make sure you are accustomed to me communicating this way. If I need to say something without anyone hearing it, this is how I'm doing it."
She coughs.
Well done. I appreciate that.
All right.
Balance, are you being weird? Don't be weird.
What?
Don't be weird.
Who's being weird?
Did you say I appreciate that out loud or in her head?
In her head.
Okay, I thought you said that out loud.
Okay, Demi leads you all down to the dining room. It's a fairly large room. There are a bunch of smaller tables here. The curtains are they're open, and you can see kind of like the sun beginning to set. You guys saw it set in the spa day. So the sun is like, it's on that point where it's literally just about to dip under the horizon and in the distance, and you guys can see some of the stars beginning to form in the sky. And Demi strolls over to the table that she knows will be hers and just gestures for Zaltanna to sit down. She gestures for the Prince Pintor to sit down also. Renala takes a cautious stand just behind Pintor's seat, like one pace behind on the left. And she seems happy standing there and keeping an eye on what's going on. What do you see in this room? Well, the floor is highly polished, but you're probably not looking at the floor. You can see that there is a halfling woman sitting on a table on her own. She has long flowing blonde hair and she looks kind of gaunt. She's actually wearing very little, I'd say scantily clad brings up the wrong images, but there's very little on her. And she's got these black braids that are filled with like beads and bones and painted purple and gold markers all over her body. There's a very heavy chain on her waist and she has like a small book, which is just sitting on her lap, which is attached to the chain. There is a very grumpy looking Duragar male, a couple of tables over from where you guys are sitting. He has very short cropped white hair and a scar right across his eyes. But he seems to still be able to see perfectly well, judging by his looking around. He looks less grumpy than, for example, Squash would have seen him earlier in the day because it's beginning to be night now and he can be out in this without worrying too much. Balance, you would spot Rodri, who is, you would have known her from when you were young. She is essentially a blacksmith who works on the council with Rowena. She's like their head maker. She's in charge of all things relating to the blacksmith and anything you have to manufacture. That is her job. That's who she is. You would probably recognize her.
Okay.
On a table, kind of like as you've guys gone to sit down, Demi's table isn't exactly near the window, but it's closer than most of the other tables. Afford a really good view. As you guys sit down, like being to look around, in like the furthest most corner from where you are, near kind of like the door area, you see there is a drow who has long purple robes, and he is a wizard. You would recognize him as the apprentice servant guy of Phaestos, the guy from the Fourfold.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I have his name. I think I had his name written down.
This is where I get to double check my notes are correct.
Hang on. No. Belos.
Yes, our notes correct. Yes, Belos.
Does he look like an old guy from Europe who plays vampires?
He does not. He looks like a young drow who seems to be happy that his master, Phaestos, the ever irritated, is not with him. Actually, take an insight check, Zaltanna, as you're looking over there, determining whether he. No, I'm joking. But yeah, take an insight check. You guys recognize him, so go for it.
I will not be taking an insight check as my character sheet does not want to cooperate with me right now. Whoa! Nope, never mind. There we go. 21.
Okay. On a 21, he notices you both. I'll rephrase that. No, he would notice you both. He looks over at Prince Pintor with a bit of an eyebrow raise. He looks familiar, but not right. His hair isn't as dark as when you saw him last. Because I don't think you went into the Fourfold in disguise, did you?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So he looks over at Prince Pintor with a bit of a kind of familiar, but can't quite place him look. But he looks over at Zaltanna and immediately can place her. There may be a bit of beard growth, but he can place that dwarf. Pretty significant. She was a finalist. And you see him like give a nod of respect over in Zaltanna's direction. He seems fairly friendly, positive towards her. But then his eyes fix upon Demi. And he immediately gets this like scowl between his on his forehead, and you see his lips purse a little bit, and he starts cutting into his food a little bit more vigorously than he did before. That's when you pick up on him. Yeah.
Demi, that guy does not like you.
What guy?
I kind of gesture with my shoulder so as not to be obvious. I do like a shoulder roll towards him.
Yeah. She looks over and she looks back at you guys, and she's like, as you guys are like sitting down and like getting comfortable, she's like, "Well, I don't recognize him."
He's from the fourfold.
Oh, wait, isn't that Bogrim's lot?
Yeah.
So Bogrim must have sent him. So he's potentially an ally here.
Well, maybe I should. Should I go talk to him? I definitely don't think you should.
I wouldn't engage in conversation just yet. We should wait to see who else shows up.
Okay, you're the boss.
Telepathically, Balance is going to fill Demi in on who Belos is and just be like, just say to her, that's the aide to Phaistos, who is the master of magic within the fourfold.
She shoots a telepathic message back, and she says, "Oh yes, Phaistos. I remember Phaistos. He wasn't particularly happy that I joined the Witches' Society, nor that I took over. He was very much outspoken against who doesn't like me. I wonder why Bellis wouldn't like me. I haven't done anything to that kid. At least I don't think
Responding
I
back telepathically, Balance is going to cut into the rambling before she starts rambling in his head.
It like Demi's ramble cuts off like at 25 words, and then she seems to remember that she hasn't continued and like starts another message. So yeah, you got to get her in that in-between moment.
Demi, I would ask that we try to keep personal vendettas such as that to a minimum here. He could be a potential ally if we need to. Well, if we need to get out of here expediently, I imagine him and if Phaistos is here, the two of them could be of use to us. They've already shown support for our side.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, I'll not speak to him. I'll rely on you two to do this. I mean, I don't know what I did to the kid. I don't know what I did to Phaistos. I just know he doesn't particularly like me, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll leave that to you two. That's fine. At this point, one of the serving women come over. She's a fairly tall human, really like skinny as a rake kind of chick. She kind of like bows at the table. She says, "Well, we've got a few things on special tonight. We've got freshly caught bass, and we've got chicken, and we've got turkey. For those of you who don't like that sort of thing, we've got a nice nut cutlet for you if you want that. Or pretty much anything else you particularly want. We'll take a bit longer for anything specially ordered, but what can I do? Or what can I start you with a drink? Would you like a wine or would you like a beer? I can also get you water as well."
A beer, please.
Right? She pulls a notebook almost like out of like her wrist and a pen.
Sorry, hold on. I'm currently checking my notes that Bucky gave me regarding Pintor's food and drink preferences.
Demi's like, "I'll have some wine. I'll have red wine. I much prefer red wine over white wine." And the girl gives her a nod. Renala's like, "I'll have a beer. That's all right." And she takes a seat next to Pintor, and she looks over at him and like gives him a nod of approval, like, "You can do this."
I think I'd like to have a glass of fine elvish wine, if you could, please, and perhaps some bread and jam.
Of course, not a problem. Not a problem. I'll be back with your drinks shortly, and then I'll take your order for main course. Enjoy the view. And she kind of like meanders off. As she leaves, like Demi kind of like looks around and sees that the room is, it's not exactly full, but there are a fair amount of people in here. And she says, "Okay, things I need to tell you about the dueling. Most of the things at the dueling is pretty much pre-decided before we go into the dueling. So people will talk the night before over food and drink, and they'll hash out some of the details. So, some of the give and take we don't exactly want recorded. Not that many of the things in the club are recorded for public. You get what I mean? Most of them are figured out before we actually go into the dueling tomorrow. So a lot of maneuvering is going to be going on tonight. So just keep an eye out and maybe you make some alliances now and talk to people about various things. I have a feeling most things are going to kick off today because it's tomorrow. And there are already a lot of people here. We're only missing a few, actually, before we can call a quorum of actually having a dueling, which, yeah, it depends what two turns up, I guess."
Who else are we missing? I believe we need someone representing the Dawn, I imagine, unless the halfling over there, perhaps.
Demi nods like, "Yes, that's her. Her name is Tyrell. I've met her." Tyrell. I apologize again if I've pronounced this incorrectly, but that's what we're going with. She's a little standoffish. She thinks Apella is like fire incarnate. I don't really know, but she seems to be really into her.
Clearly she hasn't met you.
There. Oh no, we've had words. I kind of like her. She's a little weird, but so am I, so that's fine. That one over there, and she indicates with like a little move of like an item on the table, like her knife, and points it in the direction of the Durgar. And she says, "That's Takoti. He's very old, a little bit deaf. Have to be very careful with him. Big grumpy."
Takoti, and that's a Duergar?
Yes.
Not the Svirfneblin.
Nope, that's a Durgar.
Duergar. Okay, that's unnerving.
Well, the thing is, like, they're also part of this continent. They help things flow. Like, if we need things moved and we don't want it above ground, then we've got to go underground. If things will be going underground, then we're going to need people like Svirfneblin and Durgar and some of the other creatures that live down there. And also with the world falling apart, it's probably a good idea because they're in the world where they're literally in the world. So it's fairly important we get them involved.
Our last encounter with Duergar was not pleasant, but understood.
As long as nobody pulls weapons, we're probably going to be okay. No brings up old blood feuds, we're probably going to be okay.
I don't have any weapons.
I guess she kind of looks at Zaltanna with a bit of an eyebrow raise.
Balance is giving like a friendly smile, like he's just being chummy.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Pintor is giving a smile.
Pintor. Over there, you probably recognize your friend, the half elf, half dwarf, the maker. I've met her a few times. She's fairly nice.
It's been quite a long time, but yes, I've encountered her before.
She nods. And obviously you know the person from the fourfold, so that's a good start. And technically, representatives from the lodge will be here soon. And she kind of like gives you like a forced smile. There are a couple of others I expect to be turning up. I mean, they may or may not turn up, but as long as we have like seven or so people here, we can start the dueling tomorrow. Well, the official dueling tomorrow. Like the unofficial dueling happens today. We'll be trying to figure out a few details and whatnot. So, what do you guys want to do?
For now, wait for my food and drink.
Almost as if summoned by magic, the woman comes back with your orders and places them like gently down. She's got them all like stacked up on a single plane tray. Puts them all down. It's like, sorry if I take your orders now.
Yeah, turkey.
Right. Okay. Mine'll be chicken. I'll have chicken. I love chicken.
I think I'll explore things a bit. I'll have the bass.
Very good, sir. Freshly caught. Roland says, I'll have bass as well. Be perfect. The woman takes the order. She bows deeply and she meanders off. At this point, there is another person who enters the room. You see an old elven man. He wears very long white robes with also very long sleeves. His robes probably magical because it's super clean. It's that kind of thing. He has no hair on his head, but you can see from his very kind of like tufty, bushy eyebrows that he must be fairly old because they're like a really whitish color. Specks are grey in there. He's old, but not like past it. He walks with the grace of somebody who knows his own body, who is probably pretty powerful. Zaltanna, you would probably recognize this gentleman as someone who worked at the temple when you and Adet were there.
Oh shit. What's his name?
Your good old buddy, whose name I'm pulling out of the list. His name is Father Caldrain Nithya. I'll copy and paste it, but for anyone who's playing the writing game at home, Kaldrain, and then Nithya, Nithya. Yeah, so he essentially walks in and has like a quick glance around the room. He doesn't seem to spot you instantly, Zaltanna. But he goes
Probably
and...
because of the dress.
Probably because... also, to be fair, it's probably been some time since you have seen him. Definitely before you went to jail. Absolutely. This has been like the other side of a decade, probably. And he goes and sits down fairly near the Durga. And you see them talking to each other across their two tables, and eventually Father Caldrain just gets up and goes to join the Durga on his table, and they seem to be having a fairly animated conversation.
Oh, hey, I know that guy.
Oh, really?
You do?
Yeah. He's from my temple.
Oh,
That could be
that's
helpful.
really... Yeah.
Father Caldrain, yeah.
I mean, looks like he's starting early, or at least the Durga may be starting early. I mean, they seem to be having a fairly in-depth conversation, but of course they could just be like deciding that they're having like nut cutlet over bass. I don't know why you picked that, I don't know, but I'm a fan of meat. I mean, what can I say? She kind of like begins looking around a bit antsy, looking out towards where you can see like from where you guys are seated, you can see the like reception desks out in the hallway, and you can see that Gilles is receiving, talking to another person who has turned up, and he seems to be having a very animated conversation with them, but you can't exactly see who this person is yet. And he kind of like points towards the dining room, but then quickly leads them upstairs to their room. I should deduce that probably somebody else has arrived.
Balance is enjoying the fine life currently, taking some sips of the wine, having some of that sweet jam on bread. Just like he's trying not to show how much he's enjoying this, but he's really enjoying this.
How much he has missed this. Yeah.
Can I roll an insight into how much Balance has missed this?
Yes, of course you can.
You don't need to roll. You have traveled with him long enough to know he has been waiting for something like this. He wants this. It's almost like he has been so far removed from this society for nigh on 50 years.
Yep.
Which for us is still a respectable amount of time.
That is pretty true. You guys see walking over to you, see that Rodri, the maker on Rowena's council, she's kind of gotten to her feet, and she's kind of like hobbling on her cane and using the backs of the other chairs and some of the tables she seems to be like hobbling and making her way towards you guys. Immediately Renala jumps up because it's Renala's place too. And Rodri comes and sits down next to Pintor. Renala goes, grabbed another chair and joins you guys. And the old woman looks across at all of you, and she nods at Demi, and she looks at Pintor. She kind of like gives you a side glance, and she says,
"Didn't expect to be seeing you here quite so quickly."
I thought it'd be better if I joined tonight's festivities and rather enjoyed myself anyways.
It's probably been a while since you've enjoyed such festivities.
With the traveling I've been having to do lately, yes.
She puts like her hand kind of like on your shoulder very quickly and gives it a quick squeeze.
I understand that. I also understand that certain things didn't go quite the way that Rowena wanted. But it's okay. I'm sure she'll be fine.
Rowena's a strong one. I have no doubt that Auntie will be fine.
She flashes him a smile. She says,
I'm sure things will work out the way they're supposed to. So, what's your position on all of this?
She kind of like waves her hand in the air.
Sundering of the world.
She's still directing that at Pintor?
She's kind of directing it at the table.
Does Demi look like she wants to chime in? Otherwise, Balance will keep going.
Nope. Demi seems interested in looking around at the serving staff and keeping an eye on the Durga.
I want you to talk to yourself. Because you know I enjoy inflicting that upon you.
Yes, I know you do, but this is not the case. Demi is somewhat more interested in the movement and the talk of other people.
Well, it's quite frankly awful. Whether or not something can be done about it is another story, but we're in a sad state of affairs. At least I think we are. Floating debris and...
Well, it would be exceptionally useful. It would be very useful, I think, if the dwarves were allowed back into Blighthouse, and that we'd perhaps allow some of the humans and the halflings and the gnomes to apprentice with us. Teach us their wares, we teach them ours. Of course, what does an old woman like me know?
Can I get an aura check on her? Is she trying to goad or bait something out for me? Because
Sure, you
the
can
way
make a check.
the way she's phrasing this sounds like she's trying to test me for something.
You could definitely take an insight.
All right. 17 insight.
There is kind of like on the very, like, most of her aura is like fairly clear and very easy to read.
Very genuine.
Yes, a very genuine attempt. But you can also tell that there is a little bit of manipulation behind her words. She's trying not to directly say what she wants. Just kind of like phrase things very carefully to be diplomatic.
Gotcha. I'm not sure how well that will work out with the current state of affairs.
Well, I think we've made fairly clear, at least in the Maker's point of view, what we need. What we need to help armor and provide armaments for the people fighting in this war, but unless we have access to all the things we did before and all the people, I mean, makers and masters need apprentices, even for basic weapons. We simply don't have enough blacksmiths at the forge. We don't have enough forges.
I can certainly understand that. I can't imagine that such negotiations will work out favorably just yet with the recent skirmishes that have been going on at the Dusk's Plateau.
Nasty business, nasty business.
Very unfortunate.
Family on both sides of that one. Was unfortunate to see. Very unhappy about it, but... Old codger like me shouldn't even be here, but... You know,
I think
someone
you're
has
more
to
than
help fix the
welcome here.
world. You young flatterer, you still have years of your life ahead of you.
And with any luck, I will have many, many more ahead of me beyond that.
If we can get the conflict between the elves and the dwarves under control for the sake of the world, perhaps, but it doesn't seem to be very likely now, does it? When you,
And she kind of gives you a very pointed look.
are able to talk to other people more connected in higher places, perhaps pass that comment along, see what we can do.
He kind of has like a slight smirk at the corner of his lips and just, I will be sure to keep that in mind. I have my own choice words that I would like to have with certain people, but I find myself here for now, so those discussions will have to wait.
Bearing in mind there are a couple of options for the elves' future, at least. Would those of your generation be opposed to having the forges of the dusk open to that of the dawn?
That is very forward thinking of you. It's a consideration, I'm sure, in some circles within Blighthouse.
Well, the sooner the better. We can't exactly provide everything that's needed for an army the size needed to help save the world. Whatever that means.
Save the world. We can't even save ourselves right now.
warring between my two heritages.
And she kind of shakes her head very, very sadly.
Never thought I'd see the day. Well, I'm gonna get my old bones off this table.
And she puts her hands like very heavily and like begins to like give a couple of attempts at getting up to her feet. And when she eventually does haul herself up and grabs her cane, she says,
"But I probably better make my way to the other tables and places of importance."
Oh, it was good to speak with you. It's good to see you again.
You also.
She leans in and whispers between Demi and Pintor and says,
"You might want to have something to offer if you need certain things. Just bear that in mind."
And she begins to make her way off towards her own table. She's moving a bit slower than she did on her way over. Maybe she's more tired. Maybe she's more grumpy. Maybe she's reminiscing over a younger Balance. Who knows?
Younger Balance or younger Pintor? This matters. Choice of
Insight.
words. Choice of words.
Insight, my man.
Insight. It's a 19.
Yeah, you picked up the look. She knows who you are. She laments the loss that you had. So yeah, she's rumbled you, but you wouldn't have expected any differently, I guess.
Based on what I know of her and her personality, I wouldn't take her to be the type that would be shitty about the fact that I still live.
No,
she liked me.
You would probably also highly suspect from your marriage proposal that you had earlier, being that she's on the the council that advises
she's
Rowena.
Privy to the fact that
she's probably going to know. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're probably well aware of this fact. Yeah. So yeah, she's sitting there happily on her own. At this point, you see.
I like her.
She's fun. Crotchety old lady, and I love her. At this point, you see the Father Caldrain get up and make his way over towards where Rodri is sitting. And he sits down and they begin to have a cordial conversation. The delicate phrasing of Elvish through the air. Is there anything or anyone you guys would like to get up and talk to? Anything like that?
I'm going to look to Balance to tell me if I should get up and talk to people yet, because he's much more diplomatic and the person who knows how to do these things, and I'm just kind of like a dopey muscle girl.
Yeah, but you know a lot of these people, right? So you already know their father, you know the religious representative of the triad here. You also know the fourfold guy that I can't go talk to because he's really mad at me, and I don't really know why he's mad at me. I haven't done anything to piss him off, at least, but you could at least go talk to those two people. Those two are an option for you.
Yeah, I could talk to them.
Well, that was a consideration. I think, Zaltanna, perhaps reconnecting with your temple might not be the worst idea.
It could be a bad idea, if only because I went off and, I did a lot of murders.
At this point, Demi kind of like spits some water on the floor. As I very much wished it.
Listen, Balance, I don't know if you know this, but the Temple of the Triad isn't super pro revenge plot murders.
You make a fair point, and I imagine if he starts inquiring as to recent events, usually those of religious nature, are also very good at seeing through lies.
That's why I don't talk to any of them.
Well, you talk to me.
Yeah, but you're different.
Demi, are you insinuating Zaltanna cannot lie?
No, I'm insinuating that Zaltanna can have a, down-to-earth conversation. Unlike many of the clerics and the paladins that I have come across before, they're all very lofty, up in the heavens.
I get you.
Well, not necessarily holier now, but they live on a very different plane of existence. They live the world as it should be, and they all believe very, very heavily in the gods, like you, Zaltanna. But you're very easy to talk to. Well, as long as we don't piss you off and you don't go on a murder spree.
Okay, look, I haven't gone on a murder spree in 50 years? How long was I in prison? I forgot.
You're in prison for about 5 years.
Right.
I
haven't gone on a murder spree in at least 5 years.
In at least 85 episodes.
What if they show up here? They are kind of a powerhouse on the continent.
Who turned up here?
The double ones. You don't think that would be something that could happen?
It could. Like, I've known of double ones turning up here before, but I mean, they may turn up now. I mean, it is the end of the world, and kind of the end of the world means that they don't make any money and they don't get to do all the horrible things that they ended up doing. So I can probably see that they would turn up. And I did hear of a guy like helping up people in Chatvoc when you guys were there, so I assume that they're kind of like doing some good. When
no, that was mostly just us. The people in Chatvoc would. That was really us.
Well, he's a fucking dickhead.
Yeah, but he still did the right thing, right? He still got food and water in, help people out.
Did he really? Because I'm not going to have a moral argument about Honorino and how he's a fucking douchebag, and I'm going to murder him the next time I see him.
Here's the concern. If Honorino or Dravos shows up, they're going to know who we are.
Well, you can still pretend to be Pintor, and I can distract... Okay, in the worst case scenario, if they show up, I will distract them out of the building while you still pretend to be Pintor, and you can go and you can put on your what's-his-face ring, and I will kill them both? Yeah, kill them both. That sounds like the right decision.
I have no doubt that you could probably take Honorino in a 1v1. However, Dravos was... You weren't doing as much to him as I would have hoped.
Okay, but that's because he had that invisible bod.
At this point, the server turns up with the food, and I assume the table goes deathly quiet. She puts down the food in front of everyone, and she turns it. Is there anything I can get for anyone? Any top ups, anything like that? Maybe something to wash your hands and face, or anything at all that you need.
The wash would be good, and more elven wine, please.
I need a strong dwarvish ale. Strong dwarvish ale.
Right, coming up, or you go get you a stronger ale, something from the reserves, and I'll go get you a top up for your wine, and I'll bring you
you know what,
a basin of water in a towel.
If you would not mind, Renala, could you attend with this servant and just make sure that the good wine is brought out? This wine was all right, but just double check for me if you could.
Oh, I'm gonna need you to take a roll. You are highly offending this person.
What kind of roll would you like?
Heavily insinuating they didn't bring out the good stuff. That is a bold move.
Balance is making a power play. Because one, he wants to ensure that the best is brought out because he's trying to be snobby. And two, he's also trying to get Renala into the servant area to kind of do the whole spying thing.
Yeah, that is a bold move, sir. I think I'm going to have to take a persuasion. I think that's...
Okay.
Yeah. To not like be. You want to be charming. This is not the most charming you've ever been. So yeah, I'll go persuasion.
Okay. I'm gonna. I have I've been bouncing focuses essentially between the two.
Yes, I'm going to go with the idea that you're bouncing backwards and forwards and doing what you need to do. So that's fine because you can do it as a bonus action, whatever.
Yeah, it's a. What's a thought?
Thing. It is a thing. Yes.
That is a 22.
Of course, I mean, I guessing that Renala here probably know better than me exactly what kind of suits your taste. Yeah, probably.
She's been my servant for quite a while. I'm sure she would.
Yeah. Your Highness, my ladies. She kind of like stands up because you both a quick bow, and the two ladies go off towards the servants area. Good job.
Valence knows how to play the game.
Good job.
It's been a while, but he knows how to play the game.
Good job. Okay. With that being said, what do you guys want to do now?
I think, should I go talk to the guy from the Fourfold first, or no, I asked that in character. Balance, what do you think?
The concern versus the temple is valid, so perhaps see if he makes the first move.
It's been years. I don't think he recognizes me.
Then maybe it's best if we leave that aspect of things to Tuck and Elise.
I don't know, man.
I don't want to cause a scene here. I don't want there to be any undue attention drawn to us, and I don't want there to be bad blood, so if he's going to find out about everything you've been doing, perhaps it's better after they say that they're going to aid us.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would say definitely speak with Bellows, though. See if perhaps Phaestos or one of the other masters is going to be showing up here. Just reestablish connections and make idle chat. He was a good sort when I spoke with him last.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I'll go talk to him.
Okay.
So, it telepathically is going to say to Zaltanna, she's walking over, you dance a very fine line if he starts discussing why we're with Demi. Just be careful with how that conversation goes. We don't want to offend anybody. We need allies, not enemies.
Okay, yeah, all right. Fair enough. I can do this. I am very charismatic.
Okay, you make your way over to Phaestos, to Bellos, who is sitting on his own. He looks up and he gives you a smile and gestures for you to sit down.
Okay. So just to be clear, what am I asking him to help us with now?
No, you're just establishing friendly relations. Hey, how are you?
Yeah,
It's been a
rapport.
bit. How have things been since we left the fourfold? Socializing, one, in fact, might insinuate. Listen, you have to make persuasion checks without the weapon.
Okay, without a weapon? Oh, fuck. No one told me this. I don't know if I can do that. No, I can do it. I don't have to do it without a weapon because I got 2 guns right here. And she pulls out her arms and kisses them.
Okay. You make your way over to Belos's table, and he gestures for you to sit down. And he says, it is a pleasure seeing you again.
Yeah, so good to see you too. I didn't expect to see you here, actually. Did Bogram send you, or,
Yes. He sent a message to some of his contacts and asked that one of the masters go. Unfortunately, Phaestos passed a couple of days ago, so I am here in his place.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. He's dead? What happened?
When the earth shook and broke apart, a fortunate accident. He was asleep and... yeah. But he was old, and I assume that other than being exceptionally drunk, he was asleep. He would not have known anything.
Oh my god, well, I'm so sorry. I know he meant a lot to you, so it must be really hard.
Yeah, he was my mentor for many years. Many years. I don't quite know what I'm going to do without him, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. Balgrim...
I feel like you'll get by.
Thank you. So, what are you doing here? Balgrim didn't really send much word other than I am to represent the Fourfold's interests.
I am here to party and watch people fight, which is a party.
He gives you a smile. Have you ever been to a dueling before?
No, I was invited by my friend Prince Pintor over there, and she gestures towards Balance/Pintor.
I appreciate that move you just made.
If anything, like...
I recognize that.
Yeah. I think if anything, like at that point, as you kind of like look over, like it's that perfect moment where Balance turns and looks just to see how you're doing and sees that you're gesturing at him. Balance gives a little wave. Says,
Balance will remember this.
You keep curious company.
I like to keep people on their toes with who I know.
True.
No, I've never been to one of these before, actually.
This isn't my first dueling. Came here a few years ago, to with potions and alchemy and such like, but there was a shortage of a herb, but that got solved. But the dueling is Not as bloody as it once was. It's not bloody at all, actually. They kept the name from an old process. Are you a guest? Are you a +1?
Yeah, I'm a +1.
All right. Interesting. And he looks over at Pintor, inverted commas, looks at you, looks back at Pintor, like,
Pintor's
raised
currently
eyebrow.
sipping some wine and looks in heaven.
I would not have pegged the pair, but well, each to their own, I guess. No, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess
Okay, so
used
you
to
just
fight on
insinuated we're
behalf.
doing things. Just
Yes.
so we're clear.
No, I understand that he thinks we're fucking. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, it was the choice of words. Guest would have been better. Saying +1 is kind of a mistress thing.
Oh,
Mistress-esque. Yeah.
I just assumed +1 is for everything. I
No.
didn't realize he said guest. So yeah,
No, it's very
what?
different.
Fuck it. I'm boosting Pintor's reputation here. He's got a +1 to his reputation. Literally.
It's perfect. Okay. And he says, back in the old days, a guest would fight for the position of the member. So I would be Phaestos's guest. I would fight for his point of view, and it would be first blood, or it would come down to, like, if the argument got very heated, death. But they haven't practiced that here for many, many years, as far as I am told. They've come up with a better way of doing it where people don't die or have to fight. So a lot of talk and debate and a lot of backwards and forwards.
I mean, that doesn't sound quite as fun, though.
It's not, but apparently Gilles decided that he didn't want to see any more bloodshed, so... And he runs the club.
Ugh, warring.
Yeah.
Back in my day, I've never been to here, but back when I was growing up, there was a fair amount of bloodshed for fun.
You grew up in Darkhammer? Or did you grow up outside of Darkhammer?
Yes, I grew up in Darkhammer.
So did I.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I used to live fairly on the outskirts, but my father was rich enough. He used to own a tannery.
Oh, that's crazy.
But he wasn't happy that I became a wizard, but...
Screw him. Being a wizard sounds like a really cool job.
It is very fun. At least it was when I first started with the Witcher Society, but that's all in the past now.
Oh, you don't have any fun anymore? Why?
Not in the society, no. When your companion joined, things changed.
How so?
Take a persuasion check.
I feel like I might learn something about Demi if I do this right, so...
I kind of hope you do. Never mind.
Well, that was a 7, so not so good.
It is an old grudge from my master. I guess I'm just reflecting.
I feel that, but you know what they say is that telling someone you grudge can help relieve it. Just saying.
He gives you a smile. He says, this place is not really for personal vendettas. I forget I said anything. So, is there anything that Prince Pintor is looking for, a way he thinks he can help the efforts? I know that there is a lot of concern about the internal strife between the elves and the dwarfs.
Oh my god, yeah. I don't know, actually. We don't talk much politics.
Oh, I understand.
V, stop it. I see that face.
I missed the face. What face was it?
That's the you be fucking face.
They be fucking.
Except not at all, because Zaltanna is gay.
Gay as fuck, but that's fine.
He doesn't know that so much. And you said you were a +1. This is language choice.
Language choice.
Oh no, Zaltanna knows he thinks they're fucking, and she's 100% playing it up because it's gonna get real fun for Pintor when Dimitri's like, hey everyone, heard about that? Because news gets around high society real fast. So something for Bucky to deal with later.
Oh, that's okay. He's actually with Renala anyways, so it's not that far-fetched. Be like, oh, no, not that dwarf, the other dwarf.
The other dwarf. He says, I'm looking for your other companion, the kind of tall dragonborn one. Bogrim said I should probably follow his lead.
Oh. Oh, yeah? Follow his lead how?
Who to talk to, who to visit with. Bogrim said he expected another friend of Ral's would probably be directing him, but I can't seem to find Ral anywhere.
Bogrim sent you here to help Ral.
Yes. Well, that and his own agenda, of course. Forthfold has its own business to deal with, too. Things we can and cannot help with.
I want to see if he's trustworthy. I'm going to do an insight check.
Sure.
That's a 16.
He is clearly hiding a lot of things, but he does actually seem intent on following Bogrim's orders, whatever they may be. And the comment about following Ral is also, like you would suspect, true.
Well, my thing is that I want to tell him then to go down to the basement. Basement? Is that where they are?
They're in the vault.
Right. I knew it was underground. I'm really good at this.
Yeah, they're...
For clarification, V, actually, that's a very important question. I would assume, but I want to make sure, that Squash told us how to get down there.
Yes, Squash would have informed you that there is the servants'
entrance.
quarters. Yes, there is a servants' quarters, and the way you get to the servants' quarters is through a door which is actually behind the big grand staircase. It's one of those like illusions of space kind of thing. And that you would go through this door, you'd be in the servants' quarters, and from there you'd need to make your way to the sleeping quarters. And once you get to Gilles' room and once you get to Dahi's room, the two butlers, there is a secret door which you have to unlock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look at Balance.
He's currently eating some bass.
Okay, and I'm gonna look back at the sky and ask, are you sneaky?
Not particularly. I mean, I don't wear heavy armor. I'm probably just as sneaky as the average servant.
Have you got any magic that can disguise you or turn you into something small?
Of course.
Okay. You're supposed to follow Ral, right?
Yes. I follow his lead in the dueling.
Oh, in the dueling. Not right now?
What are you referring to? And it kind of like leans in, is beginning to like speak very quietly.
How do you feel about pulling off a heist?
Yeah, he nods, raises no eyebrows, like, well, not that
I'm muting myself right now.
Not that I ever would have told. Tell you what, take a persuasion roll, Casey. Let's give this dude one shot of normality before we go down this dark path.
Arch is so mad at me right now.
I swear to God, if I have to make Billos a character sheet, I'm gonna go nuts.
I'm so fucking... Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right.
I'm so glad
Go for
I did this.
Yep, go for the persuasion roll.
Please be high. 16!
And suddenly 3 episodes
16.
need to be re-recorded. Team Sneak, get your asses back in here.
Nope. Team Sneak are too far ahead of you guys now. You guys are probably about an hour through after they've gone.
Okay.
So even if he were to sneak down after them, he would still be an hour out, at least. And then he'd accidentally take slightly longer to catch up with where we've recorded up to Team Sneak, so it's not the end of the world. I'd make it work. Or perhaps he'd die before then, who knows? He looks at you and he raises an eyebrow and he says, not that I'd ever tell Festos, but it wouldn't be my first rodeo. I did grow up in Darkhammer.
Hey, wait. You say it's not your first. You don't happen to be affiliated with the double ones, do you?
No. No, I was... no.
Okay, good. So, confidentiality between us. Ral is currently pulling off something down in the vaults. And then she, explains briefly, vaguely, I'm not going to tell him the thing with the parents, or I'm just going to be
as you begin to explain a certain degree what's going on, he puts his arm around you, laughs a little louder than he should, and he says, let me put it like this. Not that you should say any more, understand? But if it comes to it, I will help. I'm supposed to follow Ral. If this is his part of the dueling, then okay. But this is a little rich for my blood, I'm not going to lie.
Don't worry, but if we need help, I'm counting on you.
Okay. He kind of like breaks the embrace, and he begins to eat the food that he was brought, like with a bit of a bemused look and also a bit of wild panic. You don't need an insight for that. He's a little concerned by what he has heard.
Then she goes like she's going to kiss his cheek, and she says, if you tell anyone, I will hurt you.
I need an intimidation case. Zaltanna, I need an intimidation check.
Not great. That was only a 14.
I'm trying to send all of my frustration and menace into this microphone.
He smiles at you and he says,
wait, I'm going to use my inspiration to reroll that because I feel like
I'm going to stop you before you hit it, before you use it. Like, you've not exactly intimidated him, but there was no need to. As you kind of like say that, he smiles at you and he nods and he says, I would not have thought. I am under strict orders not to harm Ral.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm actually gonna sideswipe to Balance. You see them having conversations, and they seem to be fairly intense. And there's you see them hugging, and there's a bit of laughter going on. And Zaltanna eventually gets up and makes her way back over. But what are you doing in the meantime?
Being angry at me.
No, because he doesn't know. Balance just, this pass is actually quite good.
Yes, as established, he actually has his back a little to you. So he doesn't really know what's going on. But yeah, like occasionally you glance back and you see the things going on and whatever. And Demi seems to be looking over there and occasionally like a bit of an eyebrow like, oh. But yeah, and what would you like to be doing with your time?
It's a good question.
It's currently just you and Demi at the table. But of course, you can have gotten up and decided to go talk to someone else. So.
Do I want to make power plays? This is the sequence power plays.
Entirely your choice. As you're deciding whether to make a power play or not, a small female drow makes her way into the room. She looks nervous. She's wearing like very, very posh clothing, not like princely or like royalty level clothing, but it's well-to-do. She has fairly long braided white hair, and she has some like very large, overly large eyes. And she kind of like doesn't seem to know what to do with herself, and eventually like she'll like lead her to a table after she's clearly been standing there for a minute or two, like what on earth is going on? And she goes to take a seat. That's about all the other interactions I can really tell you about.
Do I recognize her?
No chance.
Okay.
Is she cute?
She's not a Caden level like but 9, but yeah, she's pretty cute.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
She's like a 7.
I mean, listen, I'm in a drow, so I mean, I appreciate that question.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. The problem is, based on the description that Bucky gave me, Pintor actually would not be the type to engage directly like this, as much as Balance would want to.
Then this is your choice. Yeah, this is your choice. You can either break with what is known, but this is the first time he's ever been to a dueling. Kind of, yeah. First time he's ever been to a dueling, so.
Actually, no, because you know what? Bucky also told me Pintor was very naive, so there's a way I can play with this.
Okay.
All right. So after enjoying a good portion of the meal and Balance was relishing the chance to enjoy this fine meal. Just puts his silverware down. He probably had like a fucking handkerchief type shit on his neck, like a bib type, whatever the fuck, the fancy thing.
Of course, yes, of course he did. And he also has like the thing where like the server would come out and put like the napkin or whatever it is across his legs as well. And yeah.
So he takes that off and puts that on the table and turns to Demi and says, "If you'll pardon me, I think I'd like to go have a discussion with the Duergar and see if I can perhaps make introductions."
Yeah, sure. Have fun with it. Yeah. I'm going to go talk to the nice lady who's just turned up because she seems kind of nervous and really scared. So maybe I should go down and I'm going to go help her out. And she kind of like gets up
Demi,
and like a lot of things rattle.
Demi, if someone is very flustered like that, perhaps calm, peaceful talk.
Sure. And she boldly walks across.
Balance takes like a very deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth.
Yep.
And then walks over to the table where the Duergar is and with a respectable distance says, "It's a pleasure to meet you. May I join you?"
Yeah, sit down.
My appreciation. Thank you. Like he pulls the seat out like he's actually not used to pulling a chair out for himself. And kind of just like has to like do that like that awkward thing where you have to like scoot your ass forward to get the chair to move forward.
Out of the corner of your eye, see Renala's turned back and she's like shaking her head a little bit. She goes to sit down and yeah. Sure.
I don't believe we've ever actually met. I'm Prince Pintor. Pleasure to meet you. Hand out for like a handshake.
He kind of looks at your hand a little bit and kind of just nods at you instead.
Pulls the hand, does the wipe off on the shoulder, the shirt thing. Might I ask who you are?
Takoti.
I'm afraid to say I haven't really heard your name before, at least none that my family has mentioned.
Not surprised. None of you seem to want to talk to each other.
Well, there are...
And none of you certainly want to come down and talk to us, Duergar. No, sorry, you don't. You want to stay up there above ground, in them trees.
Well, it would seem that now the below ground has come above ground, so we have no choice, do we?
Exactly.
Balance has like a half smile, like he's trying to make a friendly joke.
Funny. I've got a bone to pick with your lot.
I imagine you might. I mean, I guess.
How old are you anyway?
This is me arch counting because I genuinely have to do the math on that. He was born 5 years after, so he would be 45.
Spot on.
Okay. I'm 45 years old.
Of course. The old Queen, Her Highness, sends but a babe to come treat with seasoned politicians. Of course. No real power in young'uns these days. Get out of it, boy. Off you go. I want to be dealing with people with real power, not children like yourself.
You know, the younger generations are the one that's going to inherit. I would think that it would be better to deal with those who will be more amiable to a better future.
Boy, have you ever led forces?
I have not, no.
Have you ever had to stare down a person who's trying to take your livelihood from you?
I'm doing that right now.
You are correct. But I mean swordpot. I mean at the point where you're so hungry, you have to fight another elf. For the food they're holding. The answer is probably not.
I was trained
probably
with
born
a sword
with
and bow. Yes.
Not the same, kids. Not the same. I tell you what, I'll give you a bit of a chance. Since we're supposed to be the Queen sent the excuse of a child along. How about this? You talk to her about getting those bloody orcs out of our fucking tunnels, and then we'll talk.
And what is it that we get in return? Why should we do that for you?
Because if you don't, we will make the elves' lives very difficult. As difficult as those orcs you've been letting through our tunnels. As difficult as the orcs you've been sending through our tunnels.
As we've been sending to your tunnels, you say? Those are strong words you use.
Yeah. Yeah, they are, kid. Apparently the end of the world. What's going to happen to me? Die? Don't care. I want to make sure my people have a good time when we get to the other side of this apocalypse.
And what proof do you have that we would even do such things? That sounds incredulous, if you ask me.
We've spoken to the orcs.
And you believe
Have
the
you?
brutes?
Why wouldn't we?
They're orcs.
He looks over at Demi. And he looks over at a table near to where Demi's would be. He says,
There are half orcs, kid.
Well, that just
They're not
means
so
that
bad.
half of them is different.
The other orcs aren't so different from the Durga. They just live above ground. We live below it.
Then why do you not make dealings with them? Why threaten my people instead?
Like I said, we're alike. They're warring, we're warring.
We all are.
They hurt our people as much as... yeah.
As much
You get
as...
the orcs to stop. Kid. You get the orcs to stop. And we'll come help.
I will take your message to heart and deliver it to the proper people in charge of such things.
Good.
Well, it was a pleasure
Well.
meeting you. I wish you nothing but the best.
Well, I wish you get rid of the orcs out of our tunnels.
And I hope our next meeting is a more pleasant one, Takoti.
Yeah. Me too. I want to be fighting in this war. But I don't want to leave my people vulnerable after it. Get away with you. Go back to your table.
and he kind of like gestures your way and picks up his knife and fork and very loudly starts cutting the food on his plate. He's clearly done with this conversation.
Balance gets up and goes back to his table then.
About this time, Zaltanna's already just sat down. Renala is seated at the table also. I've had a quick look around. They seem to be a little bit on edge. I think some of them, well, when I was leaving, I caught a bit of a conversation. There seems to be some trouble going on in their quarters.
What was heard? What was this? What was said?
I think they might have been rumbled. She looks genuinely kind of upset, but trying to keep it back. I heard one of the girls talking just out of earshot, saying that one of the alarms got tripped, and a big one.
Hi there, we're all here. I know I wasn't in this one, but still here. Sorry about some of the issues we've been having with making the posts on time, and we are also wrestling with some quality issues here and there. Things have gotten pretty crazy, but we are trying to get caught up and get everything back on track. So be patient with us. Thank you. Stay tuned to our Twitter. We will post any delay messages there, as well as the Discord. Thanks to patrons Fortello for the name Tyrell, Bezo for the name Takati, and Duke Mudwalker for the name Caldrain. Thank you for those names. If you go on our Twitter or on our Discord or a member of our Patreon, you might have seen that we are doing an open casting call for Bogrim's backstory. If you would like to be one of the first ones to figure out about things like this, go follow us on Twitter, become a patron. We also share those to the Discord and such. But essentially with some of the more audio drama style episodes that we have unlocked with Bogrim's backstory and such, we are opening spots for voice actors to come and make an appearance as one of the characters from those stories. We will be doing more of those in the future. We've already unlocked a couple of them. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head. But after programs, there are a couple more coming out. So go and find us somewhere where you can be notified of those things when they happen. Go read the details on that and submit your voice acting if you would like to try out. And thanks so much for listening. We will see you all next time. Again, thanks for being patient with us on our releases and quality hiccups. We're trying to put things out, but it's kind of hard lately. So thanks for being patient with us.